Okay, now we're going to look at adding some health displays, not only for the monster, which now has 5 health, but also for our player. I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this text and rename it. So this is going to be the player health output, and this will be the enemy health output. Okay, so I'm just going to reduce the size of the enemy health to about half of that, so it's not as big. And I'm just going to make sure that they are text aligned centered so that they display like that one left. So for player health, I'm just going to drag that and I'll put it underneath the score for now. And I'll update these texts so that they better display what they are. Alright, so let's start off with this displaying the player's health. Now the player at the moment doesn't have a health value, so we're going to give him health as well. His starting health, we'll start him at 5 as well, with a maximum health of 5. And hit apply. We're going to update this so that if the player has a collision with the enemy, it no longer resets the level. It instead is going to apply damage to our player. So player damage, apply 1 point of damage. Shields can reduce, sure, we don't have any shields, but we'll leave those on for if there's something we want to add. Now we'll set up if our player's health, just put this underneath that one so that they're a little bit more consistent. If our player's health points are ever equal to 0, then we want to change the scene back to the current scene. Alright, so now we'll take damage instead of just dying instantly. I'll change that in a second too. But we do seem to die instantly. What is happening is that as we hit, there is no cooldown between each tick of damage, so it all happens all at once. So we'll add a little bit of a cooldown, 0.2 seconds. This should mean that with 5 pieces of health, we should last 1 whole second before we reset. Now this text is showing up in the wrong place, so we'll select it. Just make sure that it's no longer on the base layer, but in fact on the UI layer. Now they should show up in the corner. And we'll also update the event that's keeping track of the text, which is right here. And I want to change the text of the player health output text to be the player dot health. It'll auto generate this. That's fine. We'll just hit OK. So now we should see up in the top corner we have 5 health and 0. This text is a little bit confusing now because we've just got 2 numbers, so we're going to update these so that they are no longer just this, but it's going to be, in quotation marks, health, colon, plus that. And score is no longer just going to be our score variable, but it's going to be the word score plus our score variable. So now we've got score 0, health 5, score 1, and then as I take damage, 4, 3, 2, 1, reset the level. Alright, now we can see our health being displayed. We also want to see the enemy's health being displayed. So this is the smaller piece of text here. We want this to be a little bit more dynamic. We want there to be the opportunity to be more than one enemy in our scene. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this, Control C, Control V. And I'll put one down here. Because of how we've got it set up, where it bumps into platforms to turn around, I'm just going to put a platform on either side so that it's got a big patrol area that it goes between. Now each of these is an individual. We can kill one and the other one does not die. But we need to have this text floating above following our enemies. There's a few ways that we're going to set this up. Alright, so now we want to set up the health to be displayed for each of the enemies. I'm going to do all the health stuff down here. So I'm going to add a condition at the beginning of the scene. I want to do something for every single enemy that exists. So I'm going to right click in this and select add, and then I'm going to find for each object. This is going to be a child of this, so we'll put it just underneath. For each, and we're going to select enemy, we want to create a little bit of text above their head, and we want to link that text to the enemy. Those actions look like this. Create text, enemy health. Create an object. Now the position is going to be wherever the enemy is. It's X position. And the enemy's Y position. Because we want it above its head, we're going to go -100. That should put it up 100 pixels. We're going to leave it on the base layer, so it's not stuck to the UI, it's just something that exists in the game, even though it's going to be something that we can't interact with. So for each enemy, we're going to be creating a enemy health output above their head. So let's have a quick look. So they're created, 1, 2, but they're not moving with our enemy. We're going to link those two objects together. Link two objects, those objects being the enemy and the health object that we're just making. Now we want a new event, because we want it to all the time be moving with our enemy. So we're going to right click again, and for each object, for each enemy. And because we've linked that, we want to take into account that link. Take into account linked objects. And of course, the linked object is the enemy, and what they're linked to is their health text. So, all the time, for every single enemy, remembering that two of them are linked, we want to move the text. So we want to take the enemy health and change its position. And we want to set it to be above our enemy. So above the enemy X position, enemy Y position. Remembering that it's 100 pixels above. Then we want to make sure that the text is also outputting the enemy's health. So we want the enemy text to be the enemy health. Okay. So now we should have the enemy that at the start of the game will have their text made above them, and then the enemy's health, that the actual text itself will be displayed in the text object, and it will follow them around. Okay. Let's just quickly swap these two. Take into account all enemy health that's linked to an enemy. There we go. So now as these change, they are going to dynamically update. Although these don't disappear when we kill an enemy. So we do need to double check when they die. So this is where they're dying. We're deleting the enemy, but we also need to now take into account the linked objects, the health that's linked to the enemy, and we're going to make sure that we're also deleting that text. We need to get the enemy health and delete that as well. So now when this guy dies, he and the health disappears. Alright, we don't need this to start on the board though, just to show what it's going to look like. So now we have health being displayed above their heads and for us up in the top corner with a more useful message.